This is BTV News at 9 o'clock. I am Khomotso Mapani. The headlines. President Boko reminded Botswana living in the U.S. not to forget their roots. The diplomatic relations between Botswana and rich nations crucial in luring investors to Botswana.
For Botswana Golden Grand Prix said to be progressing well.
Hosoronko joins us a little bit later with sports news. Interpreting in sign language is Amantle Babili. Good evening. President Advocate Duma Boko has called on Botswana studying, living and working in Los Angeles, California to take up space as global citizens and contribute towards building a better Botswana. He was speaking during a meet and greet session hosted by the Embassy of Botswana in the U.S. President Boko affirmed that government is steadfast in a quest to develop the country with Botswana in mind, calling for citizens to actively participate across value chains to meaningfully drive a thriving digital and green economy. Utsidile Unkabetse reports.
A country's human resource capital is among the key drivers of its sustainability. Botswana studying, living and working in other countries bear testament to the immense value addition global citizens make towards a more inclusive workforce and diversified industries which Botswana's future depends on.
And I trust that you are here to learn, to acquire knowledge, skill, expertise, which you will then take back home and with which you will join the rest of the country in rebuilding, repurposing, refocusing. There are interesting prospects for the country. I say it here to you, that in the next 3 years, Botswana must be spectacularly different from what it is now. Not just different, spectacularly different. 3 years. That's not a very long time. That means we must appreciate that we now have to act with a sense of urgency, desperate urgency.
Interacting with the first citizen for the first time since his assumption of office made for an exciting experience for Botswana living in Los Angeles, who are keen on making their contributions felt in the global space and back home.
So we have a new political dispensation in Botswana, and I think this is an opportunity for the president. Is his first visit as the president in the US to update you in terms of his vision going forward, and also for you to be able to interact with him at the same time to, tell him the opportunities that are actually available here in the US. How do you link with the rest of Botswana?
Okay, thank you for coming to be with us this evening, for sharing your vision and hopes for the country with us and encouraging us to play our part. We are very hopeful that your government will make it very easy for us to bring our skills and talents and to help. And for that, we're very thankful. And to answer your call, yes, we will help make Botswana extraordinary.
Botswana's foreign policy plays a critical role in enabling her citizens to meaningfully own their space as citizens of the world and making the planet more sustainable, and also actively flying Botswana's flag high. Utsidile Onkabetse, BTV News, Los Angeles, California.
Still in the U.S., President Advocate Duma Boko and his delegation took a tour of the SpaceX rocket launch factory, as well as the Starlink mini production facility, ahead of the anticipated launch of Botswana's first satellite, BOTSWANA, anytime this week. With various takeaways and learnings, the Minister of Communications and Innovation, Mr. David Tere, noted government's prioritization of essential aspects to driving a knowledge economy and tapping into space technology. He cited that efforts are underway in establishing a National Technology and Research Council, which will fuse in the core priorities of innovation and research funding. Tere said investment in research and innovation is essential to a thriving ecosystem for the country's economic ambitions.
We're going to have a council, a National Technology and Research Council, and under that council, we're going to sit two components, the funds that we're talking about. That fund, the first fund, is the Research and Development Fund. This fund, it will be linked to the universities, the researchers, and everybody. That is your University of Botswana, your BUs. In fact, part of the reason why we are here under BUs, because BUs benefited from this fund, research. Now, there is going to be the second one, innovation now, where we are going to implement whatever we have agreed that it's of importance to us. As a country, strategically, it's important to return from not only research but into a product. So, and we have started. Work has already started in that regard. So, I think in the long term, rahobona the benefit ya madi ara more research. Ha sorry ki itumetse thata ka research ka gore in a way ha re develop. We don't see any products out there. Let's say we tell more research. To tell you the truth, it's well over 400 million annually. The main thing about the council is to try and cluster these issues so that they are aligned to the government objectives and where to go in terms of research. What do we want? What do we want to achieve? In the next 10 years, 15 years, what do we want to achieve? So we start putting money into that. And then eventually now we put money into the innovation and the actualization and commercial.
Another stopover at the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator gave the Botswana delegation an opportunity to see tangible aspects of an inclusive green economy, which is critical to the current administration. Clean Tech fuses in the elements of a green ecosystem in their service provision and leverages innovation and transformation of startups to align with their mission. The Ministry of Communication and Innovation holds the critical value of the Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, which works in a similar fashion of incubating startups, but also sees the need to strategically position in a way that will benefit local startups, capacitate them to be more sustainable, and contribute to products and services which may be more beneficial to Botswana's digital and green economy aspirations.
Now, the take-home message, the concept is the umbrella for democratic change. Research, innovation and incubation and commercialization. What we have in Botswana, say Prix for example, it will want to do research all the way to commercialization. And you will fail in the process because the process is a little hard. Clean tech ba focus on more research. They leverage on the universities, two major universities, Los Angeles. And these two universities, they produce the research. Ba sokolo le matichara ba research, ba researcher, they will go in the catalog, research, and then pick what will be within their interest. And I think I liked their concept of generating, trying to leverage on the waste and turning waste into some useful commodities, like how they made wood and they made something that looks like wood. Actually, he was comparing it to mopani tree, which I was very surprised. And it's very hard. I could feel it. It's very hard. And that they made a guitar, a whole guitar was made from those materials. It actually shows a real willingness in terms of leveraging on ecosystem, and I mean that ecosystem into the renewable energy and the renewable aspect of our development. I think that was very good, and we'll think along those lines. We'll encourage our people to think along those lines so that we give funds in that regard as a ministry.
The acting president, Mr. Ndabakaolatli, expressed his enthusiasm for potential partnerships between Botswana and Kyrgyzstan. He underscored Botswana's desire for ambitious partnerships that could bring both wealth and knowledge. The acting president made the remarks during a courtesy call paid on him by the Deputy Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Edil Bezalov. Gigantse Khumalo has more.
The two leaders emphasized the importance of shared learning, especially as both countries strive for progress despite being landlocked. Mr. Gaulate pointed out that while Botswana has made significant strides in development, there's much to learn from Kyrgyzstan's experiences in the technological space and innovation.
We are alive to the strides you are making in digitalizing your country and how you have been able almost overnight to be able to provide virtually all your services digitally. This is a great inspiration. We are looking for partners that are ambitious like ourselves, partners that are looking into long-term relationships that are in it for the long term. We are looking for partners that have a depth of knowledge, a depth of insights, a depth of experiences that can add value to our own journey as a country. We are looking for partners with tremendous resources, money even. We are looking for partners that want to be part of our narrative, want to be part of who we are. Partners that will take joy into the things that give us joy. And some of the things that give us joy are the resources and the beautiful land that God has given us.
Mr. Baisalab described Botswana as a dynamic administration, praising the country's governance and economic resilience.
We should have very much strong, very close relationship, and we admire this attitude. And Mr. Vice President, I can assure you that going in the future, it will not be only bilateral between Botswana and Kyrgyzstan, but I think in Botswana we will have a reliable partner in Southern Africa, and you likewise will have a great partner and a friend in Central Asia.
This diplomatic visit opens a new chapter in the relationship between the two countries, presenting opportunities for cultural exchange, economic collaboration, and shared growth. Kikantse Khumalo, BTV News, Gaborone.
Botswana and the Republic of Kyrgyzstan this morning signed an agreement establishing diplomatic relations with the aim of enhancing mutual understanding and promoting cooperation between the two countries. When welcoming the special envoy of Kazakhstan, led by Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Edil Bezalov, the Minister for International Relations, Mr. Penyo Butale, said the establishment of formal diplomatic relations will open channels of communication between the two parties and unlock economic opportunities in areas of investment, rapid industrialization. He added that further collaboration can be explored in sectors where both countries have expertise, such as agriculture, mining and tourism. Mr. Butale said the diplomatic relations will bear great results as both countries believe in democratic ideals. When responding to the request by Bezalov for Botswana to vote for Kyrgyzstan to join the United Nations Security Council in 2026. Budele said Botswana will take the request into consideration.
I think we need then also, following the establishment of these relations, to ensure that we put in place mechanisms of sustaining these relations going forward, and ensuring that they are mutually beneficial. We're already on a good starting point. The fact that we believe in the same things and we are like-minded. You being a major player in the area of hydropower, we believe that we can also learn from them. We have our own plans and inadequacies in that space. We believe this relationship will open an opportunity for us to collaborate and learn.
We are endowed with good hydro situation. We are already 97% on clean renewable energy, but we will be doubling our hydro production in the next 5 years. And then, of course, we're having huge solar projects, because it turns out that when you are a mountainous country, actually putting those solar panels in our country generates more electricity than, for example, in the Middle Eastern Arabian deserts, because it turns out the sun is much more powerful in the higher altitude. So we have good plans, and also wind energy.
Government has called on the youth to continue advocating for peace and security across the continent. Botswana currently holds a seat on the African Union Peace and Security Council, where the country has emphasized the need to invest in young people and to empower them to actively advance security cooperation in the region. Mpho Kelabuge with the details.
The participation of youth in the development and implementation of national action plans on youth, peace and security in the Southern Africa plays a crucial role in fostering peace and stability across the region. Speaking at a training workshop organized by the youth from different Southern African member states, the Minister of International Relations, Dr. Penyo Butalem, has advised the youth to actively advocate for peaceful and prosperous Africa, whose future lies in the hands of its youth.
As a government, our leadership is firmly grounded in human rights. I'm here today to say to you, young people, you must, and I will join you in saying it loudly, that nothing for you without you. We also take our responsibility for peace and security as a government and as a country seriously. That is why we continue to share the example of Botswana's smooth government transition after our recent elections as a testament to our respect for the will of the people and our commitment to peace and security.
Different youth across Southern Africa aired their views in relation to peace and security and their expectations from the leaders.
You'll realize that we have different partners. We have the African Union, SADC, COMESA, Women Lead Africa, which is a local NGO based in Botswana. But we also have different young people also from the government, the National Youth Councils, because from here, normative framework, youth peace and security, develop AU, SADC, COMESA, but also as young people, where do we go?
All young people that are present here today at this workshop really do take into consideration the capacity that they get and ensure that they implement it back home to basically do skill sharing, ensure that we collaborate across border, and just to basically consolidate and work towards driving peace and security within the region.
In this particular workshop, we are trying to expand the need for bringing youth to makers of peace, and in that regard we are going to introduce a number of normative frameworks that are available at the African Union and the regional economic communities, and through that particular understanding we are hoping countries are going to develop national action plans in their own respective constituencies.
Government has reaffirmed the unwavering commitment to support and empower the youth in pursuit of promoting decent employment for African youth as a peace-building strategy. Po Kelabu Khem, Botala Television, Gaborone.
Authorities at the Morupule coal mine, which was established in 1973, say its zero fatality for the past 24 years has been achieved through the dedication to higher protocols of safety standards from its workforce. This was said by the mine's head of safety and sustainability during the launch of the Safety and Health Strategy campaign that will run until 2027. Gabriel Mereki has more.
The head of safety and sustainability at Morupule coal mine, Ms. Patricia Nkuna, says, as a mining entity, they are proud to have achieved 207 days of zero harm in the organization, which was achieved by the cooperation of the employees and proper stakeholder engagement.
Today is about reaffirming our commitment to a safer MCM, but commitment alone is also not enough. We need an action. Our She pledge, which has been built using the 5 fingers of the human hand, symbolizes the willpower we possess to turn things around and solidify our commitment to zero harm.
A dedication by all employees of the mine to ensuring that the organization achieves 24 years of zero fatalities has been applauded by the Chief Executive Officer, who also reminded them not to be complacent in their workplace.
First, let us celebrate an achievement that is truly remarkable. 24 years without a fatality. This is a testament to your dedication, your vigilance, and our collective commitment to safety. Mongwe le mongwe wa rona yo leng hano today, through your daily efforts, you have surely contributed to making MCM to be a safer workplace. And we cannot afford to be complacent in doing that. Now the strategy itself, hashtag zero harm, our pledge, our purpose, our pride for excellence.
We will become better individuals if we remember just the one item from every individual. Because if you go back and start to add up all those bits and pieces that you may remember, they will make you a better person every day. They'll make you a safer person every day. Key thing is that we all come here to work, but what is important is we must all go home.
Employees are encouraged to make a personal pledge of making safety their core value to ensure that the organization continues achieving zero harm going forward. Gabriel Mereki, PTV News, Palape.
The Ministry for State President, which oversees media affairs, has established a task force to conduct a comprehensive review of all legislation affecting the media. The initiative aims to create a progressive legislative platform that ensures Botswana media remains free, ethical, fair and impartial, while adhering to self-regulatory standards. This effort is in line with government's commitment to fostering a more open and progressive media landscape. The task force has been tasked with examining all existing laws that may infringe on press freedom to ensure that Botswana's media legislation reflects democratic principles and aligns with international best practices. The task force will, among other responsibilities, engage with stakeholders, including media professionals, legal experts, and civil society organizations to ensure a consultative, inclusive, and transparent process. In international news, we start right here in Africa, where M23 rebels have abducted at least 130 sick and wounded people from 2 hospitals in Goma, a major city in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The rebels took away 116 patients from CBACA Ndosho Hospital and 15 others from Hill, Africa, suspected of being Congolese army soldiers or members of the pro-government Wazalendo militia. The UN Human Rights Office called for their immediate release. M23 rebels have swept across eastern DRC since the start of the year, seizing key towns and killing around 3,000 people. The rebels are said to be backed by about 4,000 troops from neighboring Rwanda and have vowed to march to the DRC capital, Kinshasa. And moving further afield, with the new administration now in full force in the U.S., experts warn that it could further disassociate from the African continent, creating a vacuum as it assesses its diplomatic commitments. In an interview with the Voice of America News, the expert Alex Vine, the director of Africa program at Cathar House in London, said the vacuum created by withdrawal of the United States from the continent will usher in its rivals or adversaries. However, it might monitor Chinese presence in the continent and follow up on critical mineral deposits as it is now a hot topic globally, with the U.S. seeking Ukraine's minerals in exchange for security aid.
My biggest concern will be actually the Trump administration, and goes back to your previous question to me. You know, will it be more involved on the African continent or less involved? I don't think the president himself cares at all about the African continent. I mean, he has made some statements around South Africa in his first month in office, or his first couple of months. But I do think that the issue that rises is if the US disengages further from the African continent, that will provide a vacuum for competitors and adversaries of the United States, as well as kind of allies, the traditional allies who are unsure of their position now, with some of the statements coming out of Washington to look at the African continent and partnerships. The one thing I think that will be forensically watched by Washington from a Trump administration perspective is what China's doing on the African continent. And the one other thing that Africa offers is critical and strategic minerals. And so I think that's still a driver. I mean, you can see how important that is in the narrative related to Ukraine this week. Well, the scale of critical and strategic minerals in Africa is massively more than what Ukraine can offer.
Well, it is time now for sports with Jose Hongwe.
Let me thank you, Khomso, and good evening. This is Osongwe bringing to you the Botswana Tonight Sports News. And with that, let's get straight into it. The Vice Chairperson of the Botswana Golden Grand Prix Local Organizing Committee, Harold Musumani, says preparations for the race scheduled to take place next month are on track. Botswana Golden Grand Prix will be held on the 12th of April at the National Stadium. Victoria Duncan with the details.
The latest developments with regards to the preparations of the event has been the appointment of the local organizing committee, which will play a crucial role in ensuring that preparations run smoothly and are completed on time. To date, the organizers have already secured a major sponsor for the race and are hopeful that the ongoing renovations at the National Stadium will be completed on time.
A 10-day gap, we can still try and have a road to BGGP. The progress is going on so well. That much more of information, but looking at the status, it is going on very well.
A liaising officer has also been appointed to help in identifying high-profile athletes who will participate in the event.
I can confirm is we are going to be having Olympic champions, we are going to have Olympians, we are going to have world champions, we are going to have Africa champions, and we are going to have our own elite athletes, all of them the ticket didn't sell 50 pula for now early bid, but 250 VIP 500 pula.
Tickets are already on sale and are available for purchase online via web ticket as well as at various food retail outlets. The Botswana Golden Grand Prix is one of the only two biggest World Athletics sanctioned events in the African continent and the only one of such magnitude in Southern Africa. Victoria Dakin, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
Moving on, the Botswana Football Association Chief Executive Officer Mfolo says the development of safety and security personnel is key in ensuring that local football games are organized in a safe and secure environment. Mfolo highlighted this at a 3-day Confederation of African Football Safety and Security workshop in Francistown. Karabo Sibili has more.
Obedi Tani Chulume Stadium will be used for practical implementation of the theory during this CAF Safety and Security workshop, as currently is the only study accredited locally to host the CAF Games. Mfulu noted that safety and security in football is synonymous to the agenda of BFA, and his administration will continue to effectively enhance the capacity of football security personnel and clubs.
tse le gone di re tshwenya mebile gape ne di dira gore go mo re ka nna ra nna le dikotlhao tse di tswa gone go CAF gore metshameko ya kgola dina mo Botswana e di buya ka leitlho le sa siamang. We've got 17 regions. E be re nna le Botswana Football League, which is our elite league. E be re nna le National First Division le women football.
We have realized that we have not been complying with CAF standards when conducting our games, and this resulted in penalty charges by CAF. All 17 regions under BFA have been engaged to reinforce safety and security of stadiums across the country.
In terms of safety and security, and also not only at national teams, but the leagues are safety and security is paramount. Our play rules and regulations, security is paramount at the field of play.
The workshop will cover a wide range of topics on safety and security at the stadiums.
There's the protection of the crowd, the protection of the players, and the protection of the VVIP, and also the issues of protocol. So, the crowd is protected, the players are protected, the VIPs are protected, the families that comes to watch the match are protected. Our protocol now is intact. The countdown, 5 days before game is there are certain procedures and processes. You do the checklist every day to make sure that how the kick-off, all this checklist in terms of safety and security have been cleared and we are all protected.
Some of the participants had this to say about the workshop. This initiative is imperative as CAF's mandate is to improve our football standards and make sure safety measures are taken into consideration. Botswana is amongst the 20 countries that will benefit from this workshop, as CAF is increasing its efforts into creating safe and secure events for fans, teams and various stakeholders of the African game. Karabo Sibili, BTV Sport, Francistown.
And that is all that we had for you from Botswana Tonight Sports Desk. Until we meet tomorrow, have a blessed night. And now let's take a look again at the headlines.
President Boko reminded Botswana living in the U.S. not to forget their roots. The diplomatic relations between Botswana and rich nations crucial in luring investors to Botswana.
And in sports, the preparations for Botswana Golden Grand Prix said to be progressing well.
That was Khosogongwe bringing us to the end of our news bulletin this evening. Interpreting in sign language was Amantle Babili. Up next is the weather update. BTV News, Ikanyarona.
warm welcome to tonight's weather forecast brought to you by Lita Wadi. Let's take a look at the rainfall America this morning. Shaka Meteorological Station 14 millimeters, Havalhoek Primary School 11 millimeters, Tanahas Research 9 millimeters, Mamuno Primary School 5 millimeters, West Hana High Primary School 1 millimeter. Looking at the current satellite image, clouds are visible over most parts of the country. Tomorrow, expecting partly cloud conditions over the entire country, with possibility of isolated thundershowers over Ngamiland and Chobe districts. In the morning, we're expecting warm temperatures over the whole of central and northeast between 18 and 19 degrees Celsius. Over the remaining areas, we're expecting hot temperatures with lows of 20 over most areas. In the afternoon, we're expecting warm temperatures over the entire country between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius. As for the African cities, we're expecting partly cloud conditions over Gqeberha, Antananarivo, Dar es Salaam and Nairobi, 32 degrees Celsius over Nairobi, 34 degrees Celsius over Dar es Salaam, 28 degrees Celsius over Antananarivo, and 25 degrees Celsius over Gqeberha. Cairo and Tripolis expecting showers with 19 degrees Celsius over Tripolis and 22 degrees Celsius over Cairo. Khartoum and N'Djamena expecting clear skies with 39 degrees Celsius over N'Djamena and 35 degrees Celsius over Khartoum. Addis Ababa expecting partly cloudy conditions with 28 degrees Celsius. That's the weather forecast. Good night.